Hello and welcome to the Pole Position Podcast. It's been a while, but we're back, and we came at the right time, didn't we? After a classic Grand Prix, well, not the race yesterday, just the circuit. It wasn't the best race of all time, but the Monaco Grand Prix, as always, is a special victory for all those drivers out there, and it was a special win and a redemption win for Daniel Ricciardo after he won the Monaco Grand Prix for Red Bull. It was his second race win of the season. He's now joint ahead with Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. He led throughout the race. He pretty much was the fastest man in Q1, Q2, Q3, and FP1, 2, and 3. He was absolutely staggering all weekend. And in all fairness, Jack, I'm so glad he won, because after what happened 2 years ago, there's no better guy to win. He is the nicest guy on the circuit. He's the funniest guy on the circuit, and he certainly has the best smile on the circuit.
That's it. You know, you always feel bad when a race happens when he's not smiling. You know, you feel bad for him because there's, you know, when it's going well, and even when it's not to an extent, there's always that smile and you know, yeah, he's just probably one of the most lovable characters on the grid, and probably in the F1 circus, as it was. And you know, it was great to see him, because I think for the last couple of years he's sort of been in the shadow of Max Verstappen. You know, when Max Verstappen joined Red Bull, everyone sort of hyped this younger guy. I mean, you know, Ricciardo's not old, to say the least, but Verstappen came in and sort of changed it. You know, they signed him last year to a newer deal, and Ricciardo didn't get that yet. He might still get that depending on if he wants to move. But yeah, I think, you know, this season so far, you know, Max Verstappen has struggled, and Ricciardo sort of went, well, you know what, you know, this is what I can do. And like you said, to be 6 races in, and him, Vettel and Hamilton all being on the same amount of wins, you know, is good for him. I mean, he's not saying that they're going to win it. And I don't know if they've got the car to do it, but just to say 6 races in that you're level with them two, you know, it is sort of an achievement in itself as well.
I think as well for Red Bull, it was a big win for them, because they knew they were the best on the weekend, and it was vital for them to get the win as well, not just for the Drivers' Championship, but also to at least get third in the Constructors.
Yeah, I mean, they knew going into it that this circuit in Monaco is their best. It's one of the best ones for them to get a victory, and they know that Mercedes are going to struggle because it's not a Mercedes circuit, and you know, Ferrari could possibly do it, but you know, Red Bull knew that they could pull out a victory, and I think they were a little bit disappointed as well, because of the way Max Verstappen, you know, crashed in free practice 3. And they couldn't get into qualifying. They could have been 1-2 in qualifying, and could have easily got 1-2 at the end of the race as well. So I think a little bit disappointing for them in that sense. But you know, 1, glad that Daniel Ricciardo got the victory. 2, Max Verstappen managed to get into the points in the end. And 3, like you said, and like everyone's been saying over the weekend, you know, redemption for what happened in 2016, because the team had to take blame for that, of course. And you know, for Ricciardo to win and for the Red Bull to sort of get back to winning ways as well is great, yeah.
About 30 laps in or so, I can't remember how many, but the engineers were telling him, you know, the car's not exactly in full working order. And then there's Daniel Ricciardo thinking, it's just not going to happen for me again, is it? But he held on, and he had Vettel on his tail throughout the whole race, which was great to see. But let's be honest, if that was on a wider circuit, Vettel would have gone on to win the race in my eyes, because of the Red Bull having its problems. But Monaco's there's just no overtaking. So, you know, for him to do that as well, even the team radio said to him after, we don't know how you did that. We just put you out there and hoped for the best. You should never have won that race.
Yeah, well, I put in, I finished writing my review for my blog today, and I put that if that had happened anywhere else, so Spa, Silverstone, you know, in that first lap that he got the problem, he would have been overtaken by about 6 cars probably, because you know, the wider tracks and they're not the street circuits, they'd just fly past him. You know, there would be no room for him to defend it. So yeah, you know, he's extremely lucky that of all the places for that to happen, that it happens in Monaco, because there's only really a few places to overtake. I mean, Max Verstappen did his best really to try and go through the field, overtaking the 2 Hasses on the first corner, which was quite funny. And then coming out of the tunnel, braking towards the chicane at the bottom, was probably another move. But apart from that, you know, you're just following the other car, and you know, credit for them to doing that. And of course, you know, losing 160 horsepower compared to the Ferrari is huge. But like I said, of all the tracks to do it, you know, Monaco's the one you want.
Should Red Bull be at all worried? You know, Christian Horner and Adrian Newey, etc. Should they be at all concerned about that? Because we know it's the 3rd best car on the list, and 2 wins out of the 6 is very good, actually. If anything, Red Bull are still in contention for both of the championships. But looking forward, there's still something missing, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I look back, I don't know for sure, but if I look back to what was happening last year, they really struggled with reliability. I mean, both cars had issues. Every other race, you'd see a Red Bull, one of them at least, retiring for some issues. So, they've definitely improved it, but I would say that that's still their weakest point compared to Mercedes and Ferrari. I think Ferrari's weakness is strategy.
Yeah.
Every race
has been for years.
Yeah, but every race you look and you think, why have you pit now, or why are you doing that? Or what was going through your mind when you decided that was right? So I think that's their problem. Mercedes, I don't know what Mercedes is. I think for Mercedes, it's if they're not in first place, their car struggles. I don't think the team struggles, but I think the car does. We've seen that for a few years. If they're not in first place and they're in dirty air, they struggle to overtake. So I think that's their weakness. But Red Bull still have a little bit of reliability issues. Like you pointed out. And if they rectified that and a little bit more power, just a little bit more power, because I think it'll show in Montreal in the next race. Because that's a very much power circuit. Down them straights. So. It'll tell the difference between Monaco and Montreal. Can they actually get something out of that?
We'll look at the rest of the podium. Sebastian Vettel getting second. I guess he'll be pleased to be above Hamilton to go. I think he's only 14 points behind him now. So the gap is exactly what the fans want. It's not one horse race, and still plenty of races to go. But Vettel, he had the pace though, so you look at that race, I think he could have won it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and you think, especially when you find out Ricciardo had such a low of power, you think, I should have maybe tried it. And even if you dive it down the inside, and try and get something out of it, it sort of is worth a risk. I mean, I know you're in second place, and if you crash out and Hamilton then goes to second, you lose a lot of points, but. It's like, they were all complaining about how boring it was. Well, you need to maybe try something. I mean, the only one that tries something is Verstappen, and because of that, he made all them places. So, you can complain how boring it is just driving around following each other, but unless you do the moves, that's what's going to happen.
Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton, the guy who said the race was boring. I'm sorry, mate, but you wouldn't say that if you'd won the race.
No.
Just saying. I don't get that guy. He's always moaning when it doesn't. He's never the happiest guy on the grid. And don't get me wrong, I always put out there and say, yes, you're competitive. You always want to win. That's what makes you a great world champion. But it wasn't a great race, was it? As fans,
it's always like that, though. Unless you can always say that whoever gets pole wins the race, really.
And that happens, yeah.
It only takes a safety car or a huge incident to sort of change that. But that's like they said, that's always the case. I mean, there was talk, and Lewis said that there were talks maybe that they could change the layout of the track and maybe. Add some roads, around Monaco, because there's more roads to add. There's chance to add more to the circuit, and that might help in overtaking and that. But the race circuit as it is fantastic. People go there because it's Monaco. Like you said, the people that win it are always happy that they've won the Monaco Grand Prix. But in terms of the race, you don't go down, you don't sit down on the Sunday and go, this is going to be a great one. Yeah. You sit down and go, ooh, that looks lovely. But that's just how it is.
I'm one of those in which, if I only had the money.
Yeah.
This is rich life. I remember they even spoke to Charles Leclerc walking around the streets. And he basically said, you only millionaires live here. If you have less than that, you can't afford it. Yeah. Talking about Hamilton as well, but it's hard to say, isn't it? Because you talk about the circuits. We could talk about so many circuits that need changing. Abu Dhabi's one of them, isn't it?
Abu Dhabi shouldn't be there. We both said that.
Shouldn't be there. No, it's just
especially
there for
the last race.
Especially, I know. I mean, how many circuits can we name? Abu Dhabi, Singapore.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I don't mind Singapore because it used to be the only night race, and that was something to look forward to.
Yeah. Singapore, Mexico's a good Grand Prix, but in terms of a race, I've not no,
I'm not won over by it yet.
No,
I mean it's only been in the we can say it's only been
3
there.
years now.
Australia.
I'm not so fussed.
The track, the place, great. Melbourne. It's a great kickstart to the season, but the track itself isn't great.
Do you think we should just have more tracks instead of street circuits?
Yeah, I mean that is the issue. But to be fair, they're actually talking about more street circuits, aren't they? The Miami Grand Prix obviously was the one that they've been talking about.
Las Vegas as well.
Are they thinking about Las Vegas?
Well, I remember watching a press conference, and this is what you'll like. This it was all in the same press conference. Alonso, Hamilton, and Vettel. Greatest lineup.
Yeah.
And they all asked, what Grand Prix would you like to see? Obviously, Lewis Hamilton would go American and say Miami. I think Vettel said Las Vegas. And then they then asked another question. What rules would you change in F1? And Alonso said, for us to all have the same engines would be nice. And Lewis Hamilton said, no, don't change that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of circuits that I miss. I miss the Turkish Grand Prix because I used to like that as a race circuit. I'm trying to think of ones that I used to play on
San Marino
on the
was not
game
bad.
as well. I'm not a big fan of the China one.
No.
China's a bit boring.
I didn't mind Korea.
No, Korea was okay.
India was a circuit as well, but then they dumped it after 2 years.
To be fair, that wasn't a bad one either.
No. I think economy or something went wrong, and they just.
Well, once Karun Chandok retired, wasn't it? Or
I can't. Maybe. Well, let's go Cartagena as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But yeah, we can name a lot. But
Yeah, we can name a lot. Yeah,
we don't want there.
Well, next one's Canada. That's a great circuit.
I like Canada.
I like Canada. That's a good circuit. Wall of Champions. That'll be hopefully Hamilton or someone.
The Canada one is etched in my memory, not just because of the 2011 race, but the 2011 bit when there was nothing going on and you had Martin Brundle and David Coulthard talking about the ducks on the track. I think there was one bit when Martin Brundle had gone to get David Coulthard a sandwich, and you can hear him coming in and shutting the door. It was just a classic 6 hours or something.
6 hours, it was crazy.
Oh, it was crazy.
I felt sorry. Jake Humphrey was loving it. He was just sitting and chilling.
So
I don't
funny.
have to do my bit.
It was so funny.
But no, I liked that year as well when that Marshall came on and fell over on the road. Actually, I shouldn't laugh because he nearly got ran over. But I mean, if you're going to get ran over, don't get run over by HRT. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, I felt the worst one.
Yeah. It's like he gave up his life to HRT. If it's a Ferrari, we all understand that. Anyway, going off topic here. Going out of the podium, we had Kimi Raikkonen in fourth. Quite race for him. He started fourth, finished fourth.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad for him because he was a little bit racy. I mean, you can't really say that in Monaco because you never overtake anyone.
Racing?
But he was trying to get past Hamilton in front, and then Bottas was a bit far behind, and then he gradually came up as well. So he had two Mercedes in between him. So 1 minute he was battling Hamilton, the next he was defending for Bottas. So, not bad. And obviously for Vettel to get second and Raikkonen to get fourth, it's a great bunch of points. And for Ferrari and sort of the same for Bottas as well. I think he was the one that a lot of people talked about that he maybe could have gone in for a change because Ocon behind him was so many seconds behind that he could have had a change of tyres and, if something had happened, he could have pounced on it. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the whole grid really of they're not really going to overtake anybody. So, there wasn't much happening. But, for Raikkonen, for Bottas, a decent amount of points there for the teams.
The Valtteri Bottas fifth. We just mentioned him. It's funny because if that was Bahrain or anywhere else, proper open circuit, we'd have had 5 cars going for the win in the last few laps.
Yeah, and it would have been tasty, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I remember when they said that in Monaco. I think it was Ben Edwards or Croft. I get mixed up with either of them. They said we got 5 cars going for the win. It's like such a fake voice.
Yeah, we would have.
We would have if it was somewhere else.
Yeah,
maybe we should just have it on a field.
Yeah, but then you look at it, I suppose they probably would have only had 4 because Ricciardo probably would have been right at the bottom.
Yeah.
So
Ricciardo would have gone.
And that was the only thing. I mean, all the drivers were saying that it was boring, and I was like, well, to a certain extent, it sort of flew by when I was watching it. Because 78 laps is nothing in comparison to what the time is around the circuit.
Yeah,
is it 1 minute 15
1
or
minute
something?
15, yeah.
So yeah, it's not that long compared to that. But it's just I only sort of watched it to the end really just to see Ricciardo win.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah,
if it had been Vettel in first, I would have maybe gone nah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not that bothered.
Is it bad that I kind of wanted Vettel to win?
Did you?
I wanted him to win just so he could catch up with Hamilton, but he was ahead of.
Yeah.
Hamilton anyway.
But I'm hoping that the Red Bull and Ricciardo sort of make a bit of a charge now.
Yes.
And then maybe make it a free horse race.
It would be good if somehow Ricciardo. You know what? It's funny because when Ricciardo's not won a race, he's never got podium, has he? We could just do with him getting consistent podiums because then it keeps him up there until the next win, maybe.
That's it. And that's what we want. I mean, of course, we want a battle. You know, when we're happy with the Vettel Hamilton battle, of course, we had it a bit last year and we're having it now. But if we can get an extra car, you know, we always talk about them ones where it was Webber, Vettel, Alonso, Button, Hamilton, you know, back in the day. You know, we still want them. And if Ricciardo can get up there and sort of make a push for it, you know, that's great.
Obviously, we'll mention Max Verstappen. I thought he was one of the drivers of the day.
Yeah.
He got all the way up to 9th from 20th. That was very good of him, you know. But he'll feel probably at least half better after Saturday because he knew what he did on Saturday was why we could have had a 1-2 on Sunday.
Yeah. But did you notice it was the same accident he had a couple of years ago?
Yes.
Same point, same chicane. He must have just gone, hang on, I've done this before.
It was so basic though, wasn't it? I thought I don't do that on the F1 video game.
Yeah, I know. But the one thing they did say that I do quite a lot on the video game is that when you're driving around the circuit, it's probably one of the only circuits where you sort of get lost in you know, vision as you're driving around, and only one mistake, you're hitting the wall and you've done
gone.
it. And a lot of people say maybe it was science. You know, he was looking at science.
Science was right
Yeah,
there.
he was looking at science while he was going around the corner, and it only just took that one bit of not looking, and you know, he's hit the wall. But yeah, it was quite funny that it was exactly the same spot. I mean, that wall's just been repaired. It's like, oh no, Verstappen's got it again.
No, you know what happened really. Sainz did a good old evil, like I'm going to get that seat back off you, mate. It's mistakes like that that'll get me back a Red Bull.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, at the start of the race, you know, overtaking the two Hasses and making his way up, and actually probably being one of the only drivers to make a few overtakes.
Yeah,
you know, so he was definitely up there for driver of the day. I think him and maybe Gasly did quite well as well.
Gasly was phenomenal.
Ocon, you could say.
Ocon, yeah, he stayed sixth with that Force India as well. Force India, do you
want to talk about your Force India?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no.
Sergio Perez.
Yeah, I've never heard of him. Even though I've named him after my fantasy team, it's Checo Time. That's my team. But no, I find it funny because Esteban Ocon and Force India, they said before the race, they were asking the Force India team, you know, what is it? You guys are getting better and better each race. But I'm thinking, this is Force India every year, though. People think they've ran out of stuff come half the year. Well, sorry, come the mid-season. And then they get better still after it.
That's it. They're very good at making subtle upgrades throughout the season. You know, some teams make a major one and you can tell the difference. But Force India sort of gradually get better over the season. So, you know, after a few upgrades throughout, you know, Spain and then I think, you know, Hungary and maybe, you know, Belgium when they come back.
I think Belgium is, yeah.
When they come back after the summer break, you know, that's when they sort of kick in as well. And they always seem to have a rough start. And I think everyone pounces on that. You know, the first few races, they weren't very good. And they're all saying, oh, you've lost it. You're going to be down at the bottom. And it's like, no, we'll be okay. And they're doing that. I mean, you know, obviously Perez struggled, but I don't know where he went in qualifying. Where was did he qualify?
Perez was 9th in qualifying, and then he finished 12th. So not great progress. Ocon stayed exactly where he was. So.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. I mean, of course, like we said, you know, overtaking would be difficult to someone to try and overtake him.
But they need that points
exactly, and I think he needs that as well. You know. He's obviously been shown to be a talent, and obviously I think Mercedes and that are looking at him as well, and I think he needs to do that, and to get a 6th place in Monaco, and with the big top 5, as you could say, in front of him.
Yeah.
That's a great achievement, and like you said, best of the rest.
Yeah. Pierre Gasly though, he's just convinced me more and more that he's going to get Ricciardo's seat.
Well, when Ricciardo leaves this season?
Yeah. Actually, let's go back to Ricciardo. Is he leaving Red Bull this year? I think he'll stay if he's promised, or if he wins enough this season to get him actually, because he's never been in contention for the World Championship. We could both agree with that. Yeah. But if, for example, he even ends the season 2nd or 3rd in the Drivers' Championship with a good Red Bull car, would he stay?
Yeah, it worries me if I was Ricciardo, because I look at the other two and I think, are they any better than Red Bull?
And you're not number one.
Yeah.
Come on, are they going to put Vettel below Ricciardo?
Yeah,
Hamilton's
the same.
It's going to be number one, let's be honest.
And I just think you would say a few years ago, Mercedes, you'd definitely go there. But would you say they're so much better than the other two right now?
No.
I wouldn't say so. So I think all Red Bull need to do is get a little bit more reliable. And I don't know what they're doing with engines next season. They could be going a Honda. That's
really?
a possibility.
Yes.
They've still got talks with that. They could be staying with Renault. There's talks of obviously Aston Martin. Is it 3 years down the line or something? So Red Bull is sort of in a transition period, as it were, as well. So it would be interesting. But if Ricciardo did decide to go, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz is another one that Red Bull could take. I mean, they say
not
Red
Brendan
Bull.
Hartley.
No, because they say that they haven't got many after this next bunch of talent Red Bull. But you look at it and you think, well, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly, that's a team in itself, the pair of them. So it would be interesting if Ricciardo did decide to go. No, isn't he test driving Ferrari with Ferrari? That's probably why they're doing so bad.
There's rumoured. Well, apparently they don't have a third car because he ruined it. So he's just hanging about like, someone give me a Ferrari, please.
Oh my lord!
But no, obviously mentioning Lewis Hamilton as well. Niki Lauda said that he hasn't signed it yet, but he's expecting him to. Yeah, he's going to stay, isn't he?
Of course he is. Yeah. And he's not going to go anywhere else.
Where can he go?
No, Sauber.
No, that's Perez's team again.
Yeah, but it's just like, he's only waiting to see how much more money he can get.
Well, if he goes to Force India, he'll be number 2 driver because Perez will be number 1. So.
Yeah. And Fernando Alonso at McLaren, he'd be higher than
wouldn't
him.
that be great if them two were back in?
Because Stoffel Van Dorn, to an extent, hasn't been performing recently either. I mean, he's struggling.
I was going to just mention he's not. No, I've not rated him at all.
No.
I didn't know he was 26.
Is he?
He's 26.
I thought he was 23 or something.
I thought he was younger than that. I thought Van Dorn was actually quite young, but
that's not looking good, is it?
No. It's
no,
not.
I mean, he's decent. Don't get me wrong, but there are times when you just think. I know. Let's not talk about Monaco, but we've seen so far this season, even on tracks with the wide sort of tracks. You don't look at him and you think, he's going to have this, or he's going to overtake, or he's going to get a few places. And I think the team is sort of like, a bit like what they did with Magnussen a few years ago. It's like, do we keep him, or do we risk, throwing a curveball and finding someone else? I mean, Lando Norris, he's in the junior bits.
He's looking to be the future.
He's looking decent. So it's like, do we play a risk and try and go for him as well? So Van Dorn's looking a bit. Yeah, he's looking a bit dodgy, really. And then they've also got to worry about if Fernando can be bothered to stay as well. I mean, unlucky for him. He had a transmission issue yesterday.
Yeah, he could have finished 7th.
Which cost him, and obviously he's got points throughout the season bar yesterday, which is a bit annoying because at the minute he's their only point scorer, really.
Yeah.
So if Fernando goes out, Van Dorn's not getting the points for them. So will he stay again? That's the other thing that comes round.
Of course, Indy 500 was yesterday. He could have been there instead.
He could have been there, yeah. He's got Le Mans in a couple of weeks. That'll be interesting because isn't Button driving as well, I think.
Oh, in Le Mans, is he?
I think Button's there as well.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So that'd be quite good.
I'll have to look forward to that. I actually have completely forgot about Le Mans.
Is it in June or July?
It's normally June or July, isn't it? It's not later than that, anyway.
No.
We'll find out. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it. We don't know.
Let us know.
We might put it in the description if I can be bothered to write it. But it's funny because 12 months ago, he must look at Monaco and think, why did I come here? Why don't I just do Indy 500 again? Oh, well. But he's doing it next year, isn't he?
He's doing, yeah.
But that's whether or not he's with McLaren. But a lot of people kept putting on forums saying, but what if he doesn't stay with McLaren? I'm thinking, I'm sure someone else will pick him up. I'm sure the GoDaddy team will pick him up for Indy 500. That's Dana Kirkpatrick's team.
I'm pretty sure anyone would.
Yeah.
Even if they're not in it, I'd say even the big car manufacturers, if they know Fernando Alonso wants to do it, they'd be like, well, we'll just make one. We'll make a car for you, Fernando. I don't think he'd have any problems getting in there. No.
And funny enough, it was a good day for Australia because Will Power won Indy 500 yesterday. So Australia are loving it right now. They've won the 2 biggest races of 2018, so not so bad. But I actually watched both races.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I know you were
I wasted a good weather.
I know you were doing the Monaco Grand Prix because I was seeing what you were texting on.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I was seeing what you were doing.
I was trying my best. I actually spent most of the time looking at the laptop than watching the race, which was good because the race was boring.
Yeah.
But when it's a good race, I'll miss the best bits probably. But thank you, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, looking at other drivers, Renault, I thought Hülkenberg and Sainz did great.
Yeah.
Sainz obviously recovered from Saturday night because Real Madrid won the Champions League, and he's a big Madrid fan. He had his T-shirt on the Saturday with Sainz 55 on the back. I don't know what that means. That's his
race number.
I should know this. I did.
Were you doing text commentary?
It was my dad.
Yeah.
But good race for them, and they're still fourth in the constructors.
Yeah.
Consistent again.
Well, it was major actually because Fernando Alonso went out and Van Dorn was nowhere. The Renault got some decent points, and to get away because they were only a point ahead, I think, of McLaren.
They were
before the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So that was great for them to get the points. And I think also I've got to sort of give credit to Carlos Sainz in the sense that when Hulkenberg went past, he was not only did a decent move to let him go past and keep speed, but he also blocked Verstappen at the same time because there was a worry that when they did that, Verstappen would capitalise and overtake Sainz. So, you've got to give credit. Not only did he help his teammate out, but he helped the team in staying in position. So I know Verstappen overtook him in the end, but good points. And of course, like you said, Renault need this, and to be fourth in the championship, we talked a few years ago and they were struggling at the bottom, weren't they? And they said it would take a while, we'll get there. And they're really showing it. I mean, to be only be behind the top three is important for them, of course.
Maybe Alonso will go there next year.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it?
Bring back the blue and yellow car.
McLaren are sweating a bit now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because they're doing better, of course. McLaren are. They're doing better than the last few years, but they're not anywhere near a podium. No. Which is what Fernando Alonso wants.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when they said on Sunday before the race, I think it was Mark Webber and all that, saying, can he win today? I'm like...
Unless everybody else crashes
If everybody else crashes. We've said this for the last 5 years as McLaren fans.
Yeah. I mean, the only way would have been if somehow he managed to get pole.
Yeah.
And then he just literally holds everybody else.
It'd be really slow traffic. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
it's like driving behind him
while he's driving along. It's like,
come on, drive into the sidewalk. But I'm surprised Sainz didn't do something to Verstappen in that overtake. Sainz could have given him the evils and then crash again like, contract is coming to me, Verstappen.
Yeah,
See you next year.
I think he was saying that was a bit of a should that be a fair move? But he did go cut across the chicane the lap before, and it was sort of a battle that was still going on. So I think the steward sort of went, no, we'll leave it, and I think that's what we want. I think it would have been seriously harsh to sort of do anything with that, considering that was one of the only bits of decent racing going on. It'd be like, oh come on, we're trying here, but great for Renault, and let's hopefully they keep improving as well, because if Red Bull and Renault can keep going, then that's great as well. Yeah.
Final mentions: Grosjean. He was under pressure this weekend because of what happened in Azerbaijan and Spain. Yeah. He didn't crash.
No,
he didn't finish well either.
No, they weren't anywhere really. No Magnussen. It wasn't really. I don't think it was really a circuit. Did somebody say they had to take barge boards off the side of their car as well because they were flapping about or they kept falling off? So the FIA went, they can't stay on the car. So they lost a whole lot of aerodynamic parts on their car, which meant their car was a lot worse than normal. So
I just worry Australia's going to be that race when they are going to look back and think we should have got points.
And we were saying that they've got so many races, but they haven't done a lot. Magnussen's been their better driver, which is not something I thought I would say, because I do think I used to think that Grosjean was probably better than Magnussen, but he's just, I don't know where he is. He's sort of lost form completely. But in that sense, if I look at it, Williams, I put in my piece today, and I didn't want to be harsh, but I just put, what the hell have they been doing over winter? What the hell were they doing? Because that car has no pace, has no downforce. It doesn't do anything. Nothing happens with that Williams.
It's just pointless.
It's poor, isn't it?
I mean, even 20 laps in, Lance Stroll was getting overlapped, and he said, why am I racing?
Yeah.
What's the point of me being here?
He did annoy me.
He does moan like a kid.
He did annoy me because he's just like such a spoiled child, isn't he?
He is, because his dad's practically a million.
Yeah, he's only there because the money.
Yeah.
Sergei Sorokin is sort of in there because of the money, but I think
he did well on the weekend.
He's a good driver.
Yeah.
He is a good driver, and I can see why they've sort of brought him in. But you look at it and you think, Robert Kubica's looking and thinking, how the hell?
Why am I not in this team?
How the hell am I not in this seat? Because Lance Stroll moans. I listened, David Coulthard's put it on pointedly yesterday, he's spot on when he said that he's not giving them anything. When the team asks, can you do this? He's just moaning, he's going long sentences. They want it short. If something's wrong, just tell us. Don't go in a long rant about something.
And they haven't got time, seconds are crucial.
Well, exactly. So it's just like, just tell us. And he's like moaning about this car's rubbish. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's a rubbish F1 car this season. But how many people would want to be in that position to be an F1 driver?
Exactly. Kubica. because of what's happened.
Kubica is the one. So it's like, just stop moaning and get on with it.
And obviously Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
Really good for him because, he was only 14th. He wasn't going to get points. Got 2 top 10s in the 2 previous races.
He's looking promising, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's rumoured to join Ferrari, isn't he, next year? He's part of the programme. I'd love to see him there.
Yeah.
Very sensible at his age. Very nice guy, actually. I do like him. Down the road, he literally is down the road from the circuit. He lives in one of the flats.
They all do, really.
Well, yeah. They all do. They certainly do. Martin Brundle and all that probably. DC owns a casino there, doesn't he?
Of course DC does. Of course he does.
DC's just... He may not look cool, but he is cool. And he's named after the comic book, so, he's not doing too bad. But I was gutted through because when he left the tunnel, it's always a scary part of the track, and it looked like he had no brakes. And when you watch in slow motion, he's turning left and right. Brendan Hartley's there. It's pretty much like Cleveland off Family Guy, like, oh, no.
Just move, Brendan, move.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people said he did a good job, really, in the fact that he was intelligent enough and sort of mature enough to move and hit the barrier and try not... Because otherwise, if he'd stayed in his position, he literally would have ran into the back of Hartley and hit the gearbox, hit everything. So he was very mature in the fact that he moved to the side, let the barrier takes some of the impact and only take like the back of Hartley. It was funny though because Hartley's spoiler did look because funny when you saw him going around. He's like flapping at the back.
I couldn't believe it was still on.
Well, it shows the Toro Rosso Honda is made pretty decently because the back wheels stayed on as well, which was incredible. But yeah, I mean, unlucky for him being a home race, but if you forget that throughout the rest of the race, he does look a promising thing, and in that Sauber, you really do have to work hard and do well to get anything in that Sauber because it's not the best car on the grid.
And he could be the difference for Sauber to finish ahead of Williams as well.
Well, of course, because Ericsson's not really going to get anywhere.
No, he got 11th in all fairness.
No, he did, but. Yeah. He doesn't instill me with confidence. He's not going to be in my fantasy team. I'm going to put that.
He's not in mine either. I must admit, I thought Ericsson had disappeared because when there was sparks going, I thought it was a Back to the Future moment where he ended up in an old Monaco Grand Prix 50 years ago. He
still wouldn't have won.
He still wouldn't have won. Actually, there's a video of an old car going past him, and he's like, I can't get anywhere.
Can I swap?
Can I swap? Oh, still crash it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Who was your driver of the day?
You can't look past Daniel Ricciardo for the fact that what he did and what he had to deal with. I mean, I know he was in the front and he controlled the pace, so in that sense, it wasn't difficult for him. But I think he wins because of the whole sort of history of the Monaco Grand Prix for him and all the ups and downs that he's had, and to finally get that win. You can say Gasly and Leclerc and Verstappen, and they're all there, and you could say that they deserved a mention, but the day has to go to Ricciardo. And like I said, if it had been anybody else at the front, the Ferraris or the Mercedes, I would have turned off. And because it was Ricciardo, you wanted him to do well, and for him to win that race, it sort of sets it, and hopefully both him and team can push on now.
And obviously next, in a couple of weeks' time, we have the Canada Grand Prix. And I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be memories for Kubica because he won there, but he also, the year before in 2007, he actually had that terrible crash where he pretty much flew in the air and there's pieces everywhere.
Is he testing? Do you think he's testing in the practice sessions?
I'd love to see that.
I hope he is.
One guarantee is Sky and Channel 4 will be all over him, interviewing him ahead of the race.
Yeah.
Surely, just to remind him of him winning there. So
Yeah.
Canada in a couple of weeks' time. What was your thoughts, though, on the Monaco Grand Prix? Let us know your thoughts below. Thank you very much for watching to Let's Talk Sport and the Pole Position podcast, and we'll see you soon.